Hi guys, today I'm going to teach you how to install PFSense under a Hyper-V server. Today I'm shooting this video on Windows 8. It is almost the exact same for Windows Server, in which you should be running Hyper-V, but I only use this for dev and test. So, to start off, let's open Hyper-V Manager and we're going to create a new virtual machine. We're going to name this virtual machine PFSense, and I'm going to keep it in the exact same location. Again, this is a Gen 1 virtual machine. Startup memory, I recommend giving it probably 512, should be good for it. If you are going to have external plugins, not plugins, if you're going to install other packages, I recommend 1 gig of RAM, and I am going to install other packages, so I'm going to keep this at 1 gig of RAM. Now we're going to hit next. Not connected for now, because we need to do something rather special to make it work. I'm going to create the hard drive. I recommend leaving it at a 10 gigs is way more than enough. In fact, you can actually install PFSense if you were using a physical machine on a USB stick, which is a nice little thing you can take away from this tutorial as well. So I'm going to navigate to my installation of PFSense, the ISO. You can grab the ISO right here from pfsense.org. Okay, so you go pfsense.org, hit download now. Oh, that's cool. Ha. Do not download a daily snapshot version. Get the very first one. It'll be something dot something dot something, whatever the latest version is at the time you download this. Just click install. You can choose a mirror. It'll download the ISO as a .gz file. Then you need to use something like 7-zip to extract that, and then you'll have the ISO. So back to the wizard. Once you've gone through all this, just hit finish. And now we need to go into the settings and change a couple of things. One, we want to remove the default network adapter, add a new legacy network adapter, and change that to now this is where I need to explain a couple of things. For this tutorial, in fact, I'm going to remove all my things so I can configure it straight up to show you. You want to create an external switch, and we're going to call this external. That's going to use my Realtek adapter, blah 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 blah, network activity. It's going to take a little bit. It does take a little bit to create the virtual switches and connect them to existing hardware. You want to create an external switch, and then if you're building this router for creating this VM, I should say, for an existing physical network, but just using the VM because Hyper-V is awesome, then you want to create 2 external switches, one that's LAN. I recommend labeling one internal and external, but for me, I'm going to use this as a router for all the virtual machines I'm running under Hyper-V. I'll create a separate tutorial on how to configure this epically and properly in Hyper-V at a later date. It is almost the exact same, but I just want to create a separate video just so it's easier. Desktop rig to do this video because I don't have 2 physical NICs. Okay, so what you need to do is now a switch manager. There it is. Okay, so you've got an external switch. If you have a physical network like me, you want to create a second external switch but on another NIC. So you have one NIC that's internal, one NIC that's external. The external one is typically where you'll plug your internet in from either your modem, like a can't say it today. Motorola Surfboard, or say Comcast modem or something like that. But I want to create this just for my Hyper-V virtual machine, so I'm going to create a private network. Now you want to jump back to that PFSense settings config, and you want to change one of the legacy NICs to, actually that's not going to pick up the new config. There we go. Okay, remove, add legacy NIC, external, add another legacy NIC for internal, and then hit OK. Right, now we can connect to the virtual machine. It's nice and snappy because of, whoa, didn't know you could do that, forgot about that. Okay, now you want to hit start, and you want to boot to the ISO file. It should do this automatically if you did this correctly. It'll do it itself. If you have an AMD CPU, you need to, in your Windows host, you must set a boot parameter at boot time. To do this, press F7 at the boot menu and enter the following command. OK set hw.clf flush underscore disable equals 1. Okay, press I to get into the installer. I'm just going to write that command for you guys. So, OK, set hw.clf underscore disable equals 1. Type that as the boot on boot, and then OK boot, and then hit enter. Okay, now we're in the installer. Just jump down to accept these settings, or for video font, if you want to change that, you can change that. If you want to change screen map, key map. If you're in Australia or America, I recommend leaving this as it is and just hitting accept. Now, next, I'm going to go with a quick and easy install, or we can go for a custom install and set up the GOM mirror. I'm going to leave that as it is because it should default to the university mirror that I'm connected to. That should be good. So hit quick and easy install. It'll complain about, it'll automatically install without asking anything. It'll erase all contents of the first hard drive. This is a reversible. Just hit enter and we're off to the races. If you're running this on a physical host that has an SSD, this shouldn't take too long. Even if you have an HDD, it shouldn't take long at all as well. Okay, now you may timing. Now you may wish to install a custom kernel configuration. Just hit enter for a standard kernel. And some crows went over the second I started talking. Okay, just hit reboot. Okay, now make note of that the default username is admin and the default password is PFSense. Chrome will report that it is a compromised host or something like that, and that the HTTPS certificate is off. Don't worry, that's just Chrome having a little dummy spit over the certificate that PFSense uses. Is perfectly okay. Your system is not being hacked. If it has been hacked, it This can be indicator. Whoops, it booted to the. Oh, damn, it booted to the Oh, shut up, you. Yes, I want a permanent turn off. It booted to the ISO. Okay, you want to make sure that it does not boot to the ISO, to the installer, so you can boot straight into PFSense. Okay, it'll discover a couple of things. For example, it'll load all of the. There we go. Do you want to set up VLANs? If you want to set up VLANs, go ahead, be my guest, but I don't do VLANs, at least because I have too little hosts on my network and it doesn't really matter. Do you want to set up VLANs now? No. Okay, enter WAN interface. If I did this correctly, it should be D0 and LAN should be D1. Optional is nothing. Do you want to proceed? Yes. Okay, it'll take a moment to configure the WAN interface because it'll try to grab it a IP via DHCP, hopefully, but we do have to do a little bit of magic to make that work properly. Okay, once it gets to this screen here, it'll probably say on LAN, it's something like 192.168.1.1/24. This is okay. If you prefer a 10.0.0.1 network, then configure that now by the set IP. But for Hyper-V, you need to press 8 now to get a shell, and then you need to type in this. Okay, first type. Oh, whoops, that's typing in the Chrome. There we go. You need to type in touch/etc rc.local, then touch/etc/rc.local.running. Then you need to schmod 755, I don't know if that's how you actually supposed to pronounce it, rc.local. Then you need to go echo if config d0 down, then /etc/rc.local, then echo if config, stuff that up, I said ed0, whoops, we'll touch, I have to do that again, echo, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh my, okay, echo, I'll try it again, echo if config d0 down, then /etc/rc.local, echo if config d0 up, then /etc/rc.local, echo if config, what's it concentrating when I wrote that then? If config d1 down, then /etc/rc.local, echo if config de1 up, fell for that just then, /etc/rc.local, and then finally echo dh client d0 /etc/rc.local. Okay, if you have an AMD CPU, you can write echo hw dot, basically that command. Two of those pointers, like I can call them, right bracket. Okay, that'll do. And then /bootloader.conf.local. Remember, that's only if you have an AMD CPU. Do not do that if you have a Intel CPU. They'll result in bad stuff. Okay, then just hit reboot to test the configuration. Didn't work, try again. In fact, I may have to do it again because I failed a bit up there. So we'll see how we go. F1 to boot straight into PFSense. Enter to boot straight into a multi-user scenario. Went into phase, starting DNS resolver, gateway monitors, web configurator, DNS resolver, cron, if you see this error here, runtime went backwards from something usec to something usec for PID something. Do not worry, that is just Hyper-V having troubles with the clock and PFSense interacting. It's because of the fact that it's Linux and it's just detecting what the time is from the host. Yep, there it goes. It will work it out eventually what the actual time is. So boot up complete, print it, and there we go. It's now fully set up. So to test this, we're now going to go to the web configurator. Remember from back what I said earlier, that the admin password, admin username is admin, and the admin password is PFSense. I recommend, if this is your own computer, save the password, so save yourself. Okay, host name of the router, I'm going to stick to PFSense. Primary DNS server, this should be a reliable DNS server either on your network, actually probably not, should be on your network, a external one, so for example 8.8.8.8, which is Google right there, or what I recommend is an ISP run DNS server, but we can't do that much in Australia because of reasons and blocking that they love to do. Okay, that's going to automatically do its thing. We don't want to touch that. Block RFC networks, no. LAN address, yes. Admin password, we'll stick to PFSense. Okay, hit reload to reload PFSense with the new changes. Reload in progress. I recommend to continue that there we go. Okay, as you can see, PFSense is now running. It's got an IP on both sides. You can now install packages, do all of that lovely stuff. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to install PFSense under Hyper-V. I learnt something. I hope that you learnt something as well. Do subscribe because I have future tutorials coming up that involve PFSense as well and Hyper-V, all in the same combo. Again, we'll be doing another special video about how to optimize Squid for running as a transparent proxy under a Hyper-V environment as well, so stay tuned for that video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.